Okay, good afternoon and welcome to the Campervan Campout Hub. As you can see, we've got the lovely Gemma and Campbell with us again this afternoon, who are talking about building a brand online. It was interesting yesterday, we had a session on becoming a digital nomad, and it became a working kind of workshop or working group on digital marketing. So this session, guys, is going to be really interesting for me as someone who's trying to build a brand online. So would you please give a very warm Campout welcome to Gemma and Campbell from Highlands to Hammocks. Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you all so much for coming. We'll just do a quick intro in case you haven't heard of us before. It's lovely to see some familiar faces in the crowd as well, so thank you for coming along. But as Matt said, we're called Gemma and Campbell, and we run the travel channel Highlands to Hammocks. We've done so for the past about 7 years now, and it's our full-time jobs now, basically. Highlands to Hammocks, we'll get into the whole story of where that name came from. It's I like the story personally, but there's some very good lessons that we're going to be sharing in today's workshop because it's a little bit of a different presentation for us. It's not the usual location-based one that we're used to doing, but we're hoping it's going to give us some really insightful tips and tricks and basically the lessons that we've learned over the last few years.
Okay, so...
Oh, your mic on? Need to shout. So you're going to be listening to me all day then. Gemma, you just do what you're really good at and looking pretty. That'll be fine. Oh, you need to turn your mic on. That's it. Good. Okay, so we are Gemma and Campbell, like I said. We've been living in our motorhome LA for the past 3 years now, actually. We need to update that slide. We bought her back in 2021. And we did so because we're basically, through the pandemic, we were working and living in the small island of Guernsey. We were both working in healthcare. Gemma studied learning disability nursing. I studied chemical engineering, but I was working as a support worker. And in these industries, we were just like passing ships in the night. We didn't have a lot of freedom to actually spend time together. And we just wanted a bit of a lifestyle change. You know, we realized we're young, we're not getting any younger, but we want to be able to actually spend time together because that's what we love doing. And so we came up with the idea of basically monetizing this hobby that we had before that. So 7 years ago, we started the travel blog Highlands to Hammocks.
It started off as a hobby.
Started off as a hobby, very much. So it was basically a way of sharing our stories with our parents. So that we didn't need to call home every single night as we were traveling, so they didn't need to worry about us. So we could share it with them, they knew that we were safe, and we could also maybe help and inspire some people to travel whilst we were doing that. Then fast forward in a few years, after the pandemic, 3 years ago now in 2021, through the pandemic actually, I guess it kind of kicked off. So we really love van life, and we've been traveling in outdoors and caravan and holidays ever since we were kids. And basically through the pandemic, up in the north coast of Scotland, there was a lot of bad press, basically about people disposing of waste inappropriately, not respecting the local environment. And we realized that it's not because these people were wanting to do it out of spite or because there's no such thing as bad people. It was just lack of education. So that's what we wanted to use our platform for, was to raise awareness about how to travel responsibly, visit these vulnerable places a bit more respectfully and save it for the next generation. And that's where our books came from, basically. It's a way of sharing van life tips and tricks, where to dispose of waste in a motorhome, and how to visit these vulnerable places more responsibly. And yeah, I guess we wrote that first book on the NC 500, and it kind of just took off from there. Ever since then, we've been working on full time, and we've written
that was really when we took it more seriously. We thought, okay, let's just dive into this and see where it takes us.
Yeah.
And we haven't looked back yet, so hopefully we can give you guys some tips into doing the same. So today we're going to be talking about building a blog and how to brand it, sharing our story online and what direction we took, choosing your platform, beating the algorithms, working with brands, and developing products.
Yeah, so we hope by the end of this presentation we'll have answered all of these questions, but we are going to, of course, be doing a Q&A at the end, so if you do have any other questions, please let us know, and we'll be throwing the mic around to get some good discussion going, I hope. So starting off, why did we choose Highlands to Hammocks? Like I said, it's a bit of a personal story. We were backpacking in Australia. It was our first ever trip away together, way before we'd started the website.
2014, I think it was.
2014, we rented a campervan, and that was when we really fell in love with van life. And then during this backpacking trip, we also went to the small islands of Fiji. We came back from that, we still had a lot of university to go, and we thought, that is a bit of me, that traveling, like I really want to do that again. And that was when we started to think, how can we travel, constantly and live this lifestyle? So Highlands to Hammocks is basically the story of our journey from the Highlands of Scotland back across to the hammocks of Fiji. If you are choosing your own brand name, some lessons that we've learned is that it needs to be personal, like that one there. I think it needs to be personal to you. It needs to be something that you're passionate about, and it needs to be something that you can evoke that passion out into your audience. It tells your story in a nice, short, snappy way. It's quite catchy. And then the thing that we didn't do, and in hindsight, I would like to actually change that, but it's too late now for us, but it needs to be SEO focused. So that's search engine optimization focused. If you're a travel blog, having travel somewhere in your name is good. Or such as Beth, who was just on the stage here before, she is the Lost girl. Lost evokes a bit of a feeling of like adventure, you know, getting lost in your surroundings. So it just tells the audience straight away what your brand is going to be about.
Or if you want to, like, I don't know, open a bakery, something that's like, we know someone that her handle is Annie's Wee Bakery. So it's something that if people type in that into Instagram actually has that search feature where it will pop up with that keyword. So you kind of want to get that keyword in there into your name if possible.
Yeah. And then it comes to, of course, deciding what niche are you. We are, of course, in the travel niche, but there's loads of different types of niches. And it's one of the downfalls, I guess, at the start is trying to decide what corner you want to box yourself into. It seems a little bit intimidating, but if you don't actually decide on your niche and you want to try and do everything and anything, your audience are going to be confused about what they actually come to you for. Remember, you're always trying to grow an audience based on the authority that you can provide and the information that you can give to them. So it's important to try and decide on what you want to actually focus on. And usually that just lies with what are you passionate about? What can you do day in, day out without actually getting bored of it? And what can you talk basically into the high heavens for? And that is what you want to try and pick for your brand. Then moving on to finding your why. Now, this is another story about what we learned after like 7 years, like I said, of developing Highlands to Hammocks. For the first couple of years, we didn't actually have any why. We were just sharing these stories. We didn't really know why we were doing it, other than we enjoyed sharing stories. So we were sharing stories with our family and friends, and we quickly discovered the connections that we could actually build through platforms such as Instagram and our website, just by meeting other kind of like-minded individuals. That was the main, I guess, reason why we loved Instagram to start off with. It gave us a lot of adventures that, you know, it kind of inspired that. One couple we met, for example, Jen and Mel, we were traveling around Europe backpacking, and we met this couple in Munich who were going
through Instagram. Literally just started messaging on Instagram.
Yeah, we DM'd them. We saw that they were in Munich. We DM'd them to meet up, and we found out that they were actually cycling through Europe, and we thought, that sounds amazing. Free travel, and you get to see loads of places. That is exactly the thing we were interested in. So we ended up buying our bikes off them just through someone that we met online. And it's because of this like-mindedness that you can share with anyone in the world thanks to social media. Then moving on to years 3 and 4, so this was through the pandemic era. We just arrived home from Australia. We actually came home because Gemma had to do 3 months worth of nursing. And then how long did we end up spending in Guernsey? We got stuck there.
14 to 16 months we were there for. Our little van that we had lived in previously in Australia was left in our friend's garden for, I think, about 2 years.
Yeah,
we still haven't made it back over. We've sold the van now, obviously, and we've got Ellie here, but yeah, that was...
Yeah, so whilst we were in Guernsey, we spent a lot of time researching, practicing, and trying to decide on what we actually wanted to do. And it was during the first couple of years, actually, as well, we met a lot of people that were doing exactly what we were doing, but were actually making a living off of it through brand deals, YouTube revenue, and just developing their own products. And that was what really opened our eyes to the fact that, like, this is actually a viable business. It's not just for, like they said in the previous presentation, people that have got, you know, rich inheritance that they can travel for what they want, go wherever they want, when they want. You can actually develop this kind of brand and lifestyle by just doing these services online. So that's what we spent a lot of these 2 years doing.
I think it's also important to note in that one as well about how your follower count doesn't really make you any more valuable or less valuable than anyone else. Like during that time, we actually met a couple. We were over in Bali, and we, again, kind of chatting on Instagram. They had like 300,000 subscribers on YouTube, and they were desperate to meet up with us. And we're like, why do these people really want to meet up with us? Like, what do we have to offer? But it was, we had been writing blogs and kind of using a lot of SEO tactics on our website, and they were so interested to learn from us. So even though we weren't like high up in the numbers, I don't even know how many, we were kind of just dabbling in YouTube back then, really, and our Instagram was maybe like 10,000 followers or something. But for, we still had value to provide, even though the numbers we didn't really feel like showed it in comparison.
Yeah, exactly. And then on to the last couple of years, which was after 2021, after we launched this brand with our guidebooks and after we started to gain a bit of momentum online with our social media platforms, we've basically just been trying to follow or navigate our own way, find our own way with business growth, trying to balance the actual curation and the creation of our content and our personal lives as well, and then just trying to decide what the next direction of our business is going to be. And it's that we actually found out what our why was. So in the last couple of years, we've really realized how passionate we are for sharing content specific to Scotland and to van life. And that was what we kind of wished we'd done from the start, really. It was really niche into that type of thing. And I feel like it would have been a much faster growth platform for us since then if we'd done it from the start.
But then I still think it's important to focus on what you enjoy and make sure that you actually enjoy that direction that you take. And when we were younger, we just wanted to travel and go everywhere. So we were just posting about everything. But now that we've kind of got that Scotland focus, there is a lot more direction to where we're going.
Yeah, so it's the next stage after you've done that is choosing your platform. Now, there's many different social platforms you can actually choose from. Of course, out with these ones, you've got Pinterest, you've got Tumblr, you've got...
I think Tumblr's long gone, isn't it?
Tumblr's long gone, isn't it? Bebo, that's back in the day. But there's different platforms. These are the main ones that we focus on, are the ones that we have a bit of knowledge about, and we're going to chat to you about what each of these are for. So if you are starting up your own brand, it's important to know that you don't need to do every single platform. It can sometimes be a bit harmful almost because you're spreading yourself too thin. You're better off focusing on one, getting it nailed down, and then moving on to the next one if you find yourself with the time and the energy. Now, the different platforms, YouTube, for example, everyone knows about YouTube. It's for long and short form content. It's a really good way to actually develop a bit of a community because of that long form content. People can get a better vision into your life than they can if it's just a 10-second video, and you can develop a better relationship with your community, with the people that you're looking to share your expertise with, or if you're building a business, you're building a bit more of a community with those that you're actually trying to reach for selling products or providing any other kind of services to them. Facebook, we've found it's good for all types of content. The main part of that is building that community again, and that's done through photos, videos, resharing your other types of content. So we like to share our website links across to it as well, and basically just keep people up to date with what we've been up to and the type of content that we're putting out there. It's really important on Facebook, if you are wanting to grow that, we've found, is it's all about the comments rather than the actual likes or anything like that. It's all about building that connection with people. Facebook really likes to build comments. And then, of course, Instagram, which is kind of our first platform. It's the one that we're doing really well on just now, just by actually focusing on some tips and tricks, which we're going to share later on. But it's all about vertical, short-form video, photo carousels, and stories. And because of that broad range of content that you can post on it, it gives you a good range of different types of content you can post as well. Like, each of those things has its own unique purpose, which we'll chat about later on as well. And then TikTok, of course, is short-form video content, vertical. It's a lot more raw and rugged. It's a lot more Gen Z, I think people are saying. There's that kind of expression that I still don't... I like to pretend I'm Gen Z, but I forget that I'm actually about 2 decades older than that now. But it's a lot more raw and rugged, behind the scenes, and a lot more personal if you are looking to post on that content. Then what are the actual... Oh, there should be a wee nice little mind map there. But this is what we basically use these social media platforms for. It's why we like to focus on these platforms, and basically what we're trying to achieve by posting on them. So you've got community, of course. Like I said, we're trying to invite people into our lives, trying to build a community of like-minded individuals and connect with people who share the same passions as us. It's for entertainment. We like to try and post things that are entertaining, that can help people relax, enjoy what we're passionate about, such as like Scotland van life or traveling around Scotland. We like to invite people in behind the scenes and show a bit of entertainment about how much fun it can be. It's for inspiration, trying to help you inspire people to go on their next trip. Personality, like I said, the long form stuff really gives people a vision of your personality, and it helps build that connection a lot more closely. And it's better for storytelling as well, because it allows you to actually bring people on the journey with you. And then, of course, monetization. You can actually use most of these platforms to actually monetize it in a different way, from YouTube ad revenues to brand deals to TikTok ads. And, of course, also building that connection with your customers to be able to provide a service to them.
All right, so when it comes to choosing what platform you want to, I guess, take on, which one you want to be your main platform, I guess you want to look at which what kind of content do you want to focus on? Is it really raw content? Is it more cinematic content? Is it showing off your personality? Sometimes people actually don't want to show their face on social media. They just want it to be a faceless account, and that's okay as well. And then
There should be some icons
I know, I
on
was
this. I
thinking
don't know
this
why they're
looks
not coming up. So this was
Yes,
basically,
okay.
there's 2 other forms of social media that we use as well that's often overlooked by people starting up their own new brand. The one on the left is referring to a mailing list. This is something that we've really discovered the importance of just over the last 6 months or so. And we like to provide behind-the-scenes updates about newsletters, what we've been up to, and just help nurture that relationship with our community a little bit more. And it's also a good way to try and bring people into sales funnels by providing the value that they are looking for. So if they're interested in Scotland, it means that you can bring them down the sales funnel into ways of showing them things that they would find helpful about your Scottish products or whatever like that. And then, of course, on our website, we've got written content where we can use advertising revenue, and we can also use that to sell our products itself. So it's 2 things. If you are starting your own business, they would take an entirely different presentation, each of them. It's an entire digital marketing course. But they're 2 things that you can't overlook if you are trying to build your brand online.
Yeah, I'd say these 2 are possibly one of the most key when you're starting a business, is having a website, having that authority on Google is very, very important.
Yeah, it always comes down to the thing that resounded with us the most, I guess, was algorithms can change all the time. They change multiple times a year. Instagram could shut down like that tomorrow. It could completely crash, and then all of a sudden, all of your audience is just gone. If you have a mailing list, then you always have those emails, and you can reach out to those people that are interested in you, and you can connect with them no matter what kind of algorithms might change. So that's why it's one of the most important things, I would say, is if you're wanting to start build a brand, collect some emails, build the audience, and find out what people are interested in, because then you can help them. So then beating the algorithms, it's a funny word to say, that's why I put it in apostrophes. You can't really beat any algorithms. People always kind of have these hacks about beating algorithms. It's not much. The main kind of key thing to remember is just you need to provide value. That is the only thing that these algorithms are looking for, is what provides the most value and what keeps people on their platform as long as possible.
Yeah.
So some lessons that we've learned are random virality
is not good.
Not good at all.
Yeah, I know that everybody says it's supposed to be really good, but sometimes if you have something, like for example, we actually had a really random video go
On TikTok.
Viral on our TikTok, 12 million so views it got, but it absolutely killed our TikTok channel, and that was over 2 years ago, and I don't think we've really grown much past that. And that was just because all the people that had grown didn't really want to see anything else apart from us going wild swimming in the snow in winter. That was all they wanted to see. And so sometimes like it really puts you into, like virality can really put you into a box and get you kind of stuck there. So it's not always a good thing.
Yeah, slow and steady, like it's a bit of a cliche, but slow and steady is definitely the best way to do it, because it means that you can build the best connections. Virality is good because it gives you a bit of a, I guess, like a good number. You know, it's a bit of vanity metric, but it doesn't actually help you build those connections as well. Yeah. Then each platform has its own style of content. Like I said, YouTube's long form, Facebook is all about the engagement and connecting with people. And then TikTok, like I said, it's all about the raw type of content. So it depends what type of content you actually want to be producing for your brand. Each platform has its own unique purpose.
The good thing here with the cross-posting is that, well, we actually cross-post all of our Instagram Reels to TikTok and YouTube Shorts, but you can also, because Instagram and Facebook are both Meta, then you can actually set that up so that it happens automatically, and it will share automatically onto your Facebook as well, which will then start to continue to grow your community over there.
Yeah, just in case anyone's not familiar with the term cross-posting, it basically just means taking the content you post one place and then just redistribute it across your other socials, because again, each platform has its own audience. You get some people that only use Facebook, so that's why we take our YouTube videos, we tend to chop them down into 3 to 4 minute videos and then repost them onto Facebook, because some people don't like watching YouTube videos, they only like to watch on Facebook. And it's the same with the other platforms as well. So that's why we try and stick to all of the platforms. We've had a good few years of building them up. We kind of started off on Instagram and then added one in at a time. But it just means that you widen your actual demographic and your potential audience by a lot more if you can use the same content without actually any additional effort of producing new content, but just reshare it across multiple ones. And then, like I said, it's all about providing useful content. So YouTube learning points. This has been the last couple of years. We've realized that there's certain ways to actually have a YouTube video perform well, and it's not rocket science at all. It all comes back down to that last key point of just providing useful content. It's stuff that keeps people engaged and makes YouTube happy because it keeps them on that platform. So the main KPIs, which is the key performance indexes of YouTube, are click-through rate and user retention. And that's because it just keeps people on your videos. You're trying to get people into your videos and then keep them there for as long as possible. That often comes with if they watch the first video and then watch the second video and then watch the third video, YouTube looks at that and says, okay, they've watched this for an hour now. This is obviously a really good channel and these are really good videos. We're going to promote that more. So that's what you're trying to do, is hook people in with usually the thumbnail and the title. That's why on YouTube you see a lot of clickbait thumbnails. It's not because these people are just trying to get vanity metrics on their video. It's because that's what YouTube wants, is to grab your attention with that clickbait and then keep you there watching a video, which leads on to the next part. On-topic clickbait is good. If it's a very dramatic video and you can actually deliver through with that drama and keep the audience entertained, then that's a good thing. If it's a completely random clickbait, it's got nothing to do with a video and it's completely over-exaggerated, then that's a bad thing because usually the audience can see right through it and then they just skip straight off of it. And why do we use YouTube? I think I've touched on this already, but it's about building a community around van life and our passion for Scotland. Like, we just love showing off Scotland, especially when we're up in the Highlands in our van. We can show off the really beautiful landscapes that it has. And it also helps us produce visual companions for the written travel guides. The reason why we like to write on our website as well is it gives a bit of a if people don't want to watch a YouTube video, they can instead read the guide, because it's different types of medium again. Or if they don't want to read a guide, they can watch a YouTube video. And then, of course, it helps us bring potential customers on the journey of the creation of our products. We found that a very good way to introduce the books that we're selling, is we like to go to the destination, bring people on the journey of us actually exploring it ourselves, so they can see the emotion, they can see how beautiful these places are in person, and we hope to inspire them to then do that road trip. But then it also lets them know that we have the authority because we've been to these places, we've done it ourselves, we've driven down these narrow roads and lost our security camera off the side of our van because we've hit a tree, and they know that we are the ones to listen to because they've actually seen us do it. Then on to Facebook.
So like we said before, we use Facebook a lot for repurposing our content. I'd say more so than actually just posting any new content, really, don't we? So video we do about 3 to 4 minutes, and we do it in a square format. So you will see a lot of different formats across all social medias, actually. Whether that's like your horizontal on YouTube or your vertical, which is 9 by 16 on Reels on Instagram, and then on Facebook, it's square. I don't know why they all make it so different, but...
Square with subtitles seems to be the best performing content. So that's why whenever you see a video on Facebook, it's always got subtitles. So some people like to scroll without any audio on. So you need to make sure you're putting subtitles on your Facebook videos. Photo
carousels as well are brilliant. Like, people love to see that if you do a kind of photo dump of your time in, I don't know, Canada or something.
Campervan, Campout show, share it with your friends.
And people love to see that and always flick through a little carousel, so that's always a good one. Instagram Reels, as I said before, they can directly get posted onto Facebook from Instagram. And Instagram Stories as well, they automatically go from Instagram onto Facebook if you've connected your, business page with your business page
Facebook page.
Yeah. Why do we use Facebook? Sorry, I thought that was going to come up with Instagram there. So we share videos and photos to catch a new audience, push traffic and awareness to our website and our products, and push awareness to our newsletter and build our mailing list. So we do post a lot of the blogs that we write on our website. I know a lot of people will find those blogs by searching on Google. But another way for our audience to actually see them and see that we've posted a new blog is to just share it onto our Facebook.
Yeah, it's a good way of raising awareness to say, hey, we've got some new content out. If you want to go and check it out, this is where you can find it. And then onto Instagram, we're going to get a little bit more into depth here because we've just actually realized a lot of kind of key points for growing it on Instagram. In the last, I would say, 4 months, we've managed to more than double our subscribers, and it's just by following a couple of little key points. So the main verticals on Instagram, like I said, you've got Reels, which is that vertical video with a trending soundtrack. This is actually the main point of Reels, is for reaching a new audience. Your average Reel, if it does well, it will only be 10% your current subscribers or your current followers, and 90% a new audience if you can nail the key formula. Carousels is the complete opposite of that. It's mainly about your current audience. So we like to do that to nurture the relationship with our current audience, just to give them updates about what we're up to. And in stories, we're posting every day on our stories, and it's all about trying to build that trust, show them behind the scenes content, and I guess just entertain people, letting them know what you've been up to. Now this is just an example of the difference between Reels and carousels. As you can see on the left, these are 2 Reels that we had recently go pretty viral, and it's 2.9% our audience, 97% new audience. The one in the middle left, exactly the same, 1.8 and 98%. So if you're wanting to reach a new audience, and the only way to actually grow on Instagram is by reaching a new audience, that's why Reels are so important. And it's exactly the opposite for carousels. As you can see, 90% our own followers and only 10% new followers. So that's more about like connecting with your current audience rather than trying to reach anyone else.
Yeah.
It's important to do them both because there's no point always just talking to new people. It's also important to try and connect again with your current audience because that's how you can build those relationships. And then the learning points that we've picked up over the last last few months, we're going to show you an example in the next slide about a viral TikTok or a viral reel that we had, but it's all focused around these 2 different things. So it's 3 levels of hooks, which we'll show you the example of in the next one. It's the visual, which we usually put as like, say, a forefront of our face or Gemma's face or something that's eye-catching. And what that does is it stops the person just scrolling through their phone. You want them to catch their attention and then stay to watch the rest of the video. Text on the screen is another great thing. So once they've stopped scrolling, the text on the screen then delivers a way of keeping them on your reel for long enough that the Instagram algorithm picks up a good amount of retention. So that's like a big long passage of text. Again, it needs to provide value. There's no point just putting gibberish on it. It needs to be relatable, it needs to provide value, and it needs to be entertaining. And then the caption is the 3rd hook. So that's like something that's usually when you're on Instagram, you'll only see the first line of the caption when you're on Reels. So that first line needs to be something really intriguing to try and get them to read the rest of the caption. Because if they're reading the caption, the Reel's playing in the background and it keeps them hooked onto the video. Trending audio is another thing that you need to do if you're wanting to go viral. And what we usually do is look for audios that have got less than 10,000 Reels already on them. You can find this information by just looking at the bottom of the screen. It says that there's an audio or it says there's a soundtrack basically behind that reel. And if it's got a little arrow pointing up to the top right, that means it's currently trending. I don't know what their kind of definition of trending is because sometimes you go on and every single reel's got a trending audio, but that's how we would usually do it. So you click on
generally around 30 trending audios, I think, are about that.
Is it?
At a time, yeah.
All right, so you click on that, it tells you how many reels are currently on that audio. If it's more than 10,000, the chance of your reel being seen on the Explore page or by other people is very slim because there's so many reels basically on that, so people have got too much to choose from. And we also then look basically how many views the reels are actually getting. If it's all up in the kind of 10s, 20,000 views on the top 9 videos that you see, then that's a good indicator that your video will get the same kind of number. Sometimes you get a trending audio, it's the first video, which is the original one, that's got about 10 million views, and then the rest have all got a couple of hundred. That's not a very good one to go with.
Yeah.
And then it needs to kind of match the niche of your video. If there's a trending audio where everyone's just doing TikTok dances, and then you come in and try and put a video of like a nice cinematic motorhome driving, it's probably not going to perform that well because people looking through that audio are going to be expecting more TikTok dances. So if you want to do a TikTok dance, then that's the perfect one for you.
Or it's like looking to the beat of the music and the style of your video, like making sure that they kind of match as well, and it's not like completely like a really energetic video, but really slow music.
Yeah.
And then encourage engagement. So you want to provide value in your captions. Make sure people are saving that post. So whether that is sharing information on how much the place cost, how you got there,
something that
best
people are
place
gonna...
that you ate there. It's a reason that people will save that. That is what you want. You want people to save it. That tells Instagram that people are finding that useful, and then we'll start pushing your content out more. A call to action for comments. So ask people, have you ever been here? Would you like to go here? What do you think of van life? And try and get people chatting in the comments. Again, Instagram loves that. It's building a community. You can build a relationship with the people in your comments. And Instagram goes, this content's good, so I'm going to push it out more.
And on that note, it's important to always reply to your comments. Like, we always try and go back and reply to every single comment on a video. If it's gone really viral and there's still comments flowing in from months ago, we don't always get the chance to actually do that. But typically in the first 48 hours of a reel going viral, we'd have every single comment replied to. Because again, it just shows that you're actually interacting with an audience. There's nothing, people don't like talking to a brick wall. So if you want people to talk to you, you always need to talk back to them.
Yeah. And short video for rewatches. So on Instagram in particular, I mean, people have a really short attention span and they just want to flick through. And unless your video is really, really engaging, they're not going to sit on it, no matter how good it is, really, because people just have that automatic reaction to swipe through. So you want to make it short, snappy, try and get your value in there in, I'd say, maximum like 12 seconds, if you can.
Our best reels are typically between 6 to 8 seconds, and if it's got a good amount of text on the screen and a short video, then it encourages more replays, which then people are watching it for longer, and Instagram thinks that's a good thing because you've kept them on that video. So I think here's a little example of one of our viral reels. So this was us talking about the midges in Scotland. But if you look at the first couple of seconds, so hook 1 is the text on the screen, if it will play. Is your phone disconnected?
Oh.
It has indeed. Right, technical issues, bear with us.
While we're here, I'll just add, it's also really valuable to put in a little bit here, because if you're, oh, it's just gone.
Sorry, I know.
If your post does go viral, then it's good to have a little bit of information about you, because then people that see that reel, that are reading through the caption, they can actually see, oh, okay, this is what these people do. Like, we are Gemma and Campbell, we live in our motorhome in Scotland, like, follow us for more Scotland content. And then people, if they're interested in that, they've got a little insight into what you do without needing to even go and look, so it's really easy for them to just go, oh, well, I'll go and follow along in their journey. Have you got that working?
Yeah, that's it. Okay, so if we look at the first, on the top left, skip through these. This is a video here, we've got hook 1, which is the text box. It gives something a little bit kind of, I guess, spicy, you know, something controversial. Mildly controversial is quite good, because then again, it encourages engagement, of people either correcting you or agreeing with you. Hook 2 is the face, as we saw at the start of the reel. It's too short.
No.
So a face right there, something engaging, something welcoming that welcomes the viewer into the video. And then hook 3, the first part at the top right there, something again controversial, but it encourages engagement and is like, I guess, intriguing. You know, it makes people stop to think like, oh, what is that? You know, why are Scottish people never happy?
And this is also like extremely savable, because people that are going to Scotland, they'll save that post, and then maybe 3 months later when it comes to their trip, they'll go, okay, I've got that saved Scotland folder, I need to go and have a look and see what inspiration I can find. They'll come across this and go, oh, I need to buy a midgie net. Yes, if you do visit Scotland in summer, don't go without a midgie net. So then they can like follow along on our tips, and hopefully then people will save it.
Yeah, and a little point to note at the bottom of it, something that's quite cringy when you first start off is constantly selling yourself, is asking people to actually follow you.
Yeah, I covered that when you were busy.
Yeah, basically, but it's quite incredible, the psychology that goes into, it's the same reason when you watch a YouTube video, people say subscribe to our videos, you think, oh yeah, blah, blah, if people actually like the video, they would subscribe. It's not, people just are forgetful, so if you actually don't tell people to do something, they're not going to actually do it. So it feels cringy, but you need to actually, especially if you're reaching 90% new followers, you need to make sure they're wanting to follow you. So tell a bit about yourself, and then, yeah, the rest is history. Oh, skip there. So this was the point of where, I guess, things kind of started for us. Like, this was 7 years of doing Instagram, this entire timeline here. You can see we had one little spike, that was after we proposed. You know, I put out a little viral reel.
I'd say also that's a good example of us focusing on far too many different things.
Yeah.
To be honest, but we decided to put all our energy into Instagram for a period of time, and that's what happened.
Yeah, so in November we had 29,000 followers. We started implementing these tactics, and then now we've actually just hit 62,000. And it doesn't seem to be slowing down at all. Like, we're hoping to be trying to get up to 100K by the end of the year if we can keep this going. But that's just by posting consistently and using these tips, basically, just to try and keep the niche going. And it's, as I said, posting consistently, daily reels, daily stories. We found that 3 to 4 frames on an Instagram story is the optimal amount. The more frames that we would post, or the more stories that we would post, you would get less and less viewers. If we posted one story and it's just a photo, for some reason, Instagram loves it, and it would end up getting about 3 times as many views as if we posted videos. So it's all about trying to keep it short and sweet, 3 to 4 frames, and it will keep people engaged. And then something we do actually need to get better at is just posting weekly carousels of what we've been up to that week, our favorite photos of the month, maybe photos on one specific topic, because that's how you reach your current audience a lot more, and it helps to nurture that relationship with them. Encourage conversation, get chatting to people, and again, making sure you reply to the comments. And then another part, I guess, is doubling down on the virality. It's one of the main things that we started doing again in November. Was for the first month, we just started basically trialing new types of content using these viral reel tips. Then after the first month, we looked back at what performed well, what hooks performed well, what video topics performed well, and what video clips performed well. And then it's just basically about reposting that content, mixing it in with fresh new content, put it in a different way if you want to, use a different hook, or sometimes just post the exact same video again. Because when you've only got 3% of the entire reach as your own audience, chances are only 10% of your audience are going to have seen that video anyway, so you might as well just post it again. And we've found that actually just ends up getting us more reach, because I think there's been 2 or 3 times we've posted the exact same video again, and it's gone viral again.
And then it's just gone off again, and completely different people have seen it.
Yeah, and it helps us to grow that audience because of that. So then moving on to TikTok, again, like we said, we're not experts at TikTok. It seems to be more just, I like to call it just throwing spaghetti at a wall and see what sticks. There's not a lot of algorithm behind it other than just grabbing people's attention by any means necessary, and then encouraging comments, because if people are either commenting on the video or reading the comments on the video, the video is playing in the background and it's just getting more and more playtime. So that's a good way to encourage TikTok to show it to more people. But moving on from that anyway, once you've actually built your brand, and if you are looking to move into the influencer or the content creator type of thing, one thing that we always get asked questions about is, when do you start working with brands? So we want to chat to you quickly about that as well. And there's 2 different types of brand deals that we've come across, and it's gifted and paid. The difference, I guess, between the two is gifted is typically when a brand sends you something. There's no obligation for you to actually post about it. It's just a gift, essentially. But if you like that product, then you can post about it on your socials. You do need to disclaim it with the Advertising Standards Authority's guidelines, so you can read about that on their website. But it's not any kind of pressured type thing. You've then got paid campaigns, which is actually, you've had an agreed amount of money that's going to be exchanged hands in exchange for a service. Same with any other kind of business. We would always suggest looking to sign contracts if you are wanting to get into that before you even start to discuss what you're going to provide, because there's been some times where brands have just ghosted us. We've done the content and then they're just never to be seen again. So you always want to make sure you've got a contract in writing that forces them to kind of have to follow up with their side of the things. But then other types of brand deals as well that are outside of the typical receive a product, do a video on it. You've got user-generated content, which is very popular these days for, I guess, or smaller accounts that don't have a massive following and have a big reach for brands to go out to. User-generated content is where we would receive a product, make a video about it, so like a review, a short clip showing how it's used, and then we would sell that content to the brand, and we're basically just providing them with advertising material. Yeah. We're under no obligation to actually post it on our account, so our account's not becoming saturated with ad after ad after ad, but what it does is it lets that brand use that content, so they might not have the expertise, the time, or even the knowledge of how to produce good content, but they can pay us to basically create the content for them. That's what UGC is. Then you've got usage rights, which is another term I want to stop on, and that's usage rights says how that brand can then use the content. So it's not just as simple as you give them a video and they can do anything and everything with it. You've got to be very careful, and that's when it comes down into the contracts again. It's important to get the usage rights written down and signed in a contract. Different forms of usage rights, for example. You've got either paid advertising usage rights, where they can put money behind that video or that photo. Your face is then going to be plastered all over the internet for hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people to see. everyone's going to think that you're affiliated with that brand, and if it's not that good a brand, then it's going to reflect badly on your public image. So paid usage rights is something you need to be very careful about. You've got organic usage rights, which is where they can only post it onto their socials. It's got a limited reach. They can only reach their audience, or maybe a slightly smaller new audience, but you don't need to worry about your face being plastered all over. The last thing I would want to do is become the, I don't know, next face of like Gucci or something like that. You know? in case Prada wants to reach out and I can do a brand deal with them instead, but you end up boxing yourself in with specific brands. And then you've got sponsored posting, which is actually posting onto your channel. So we would do it in YouTube videos. If it's a brand that we think is going to be really useful for our audience might be interested in, then we'll receive a product or try out one of their products and then share our experience with our audience. And that's a really good way to tap into someone else's authority or their relationship with their audience, and then provide that audience with your product because they'll trust that creator. And that's why it's important to not just blindly accept every and any brand deal that you get from day dot, because if you just are seen to be selling anything, you know, it's like these influencers that come off Love Island and then the next week they're selling Haribos and then they're selling one type of sun cream and then another type of fake tan. And if they just sell everything and anything, you're not really going to trust what they're selling, because to them or to you, they just seem like they're just in it for the money. So it needs to be really defined and niched into what you're interested in.
And when do I start charging? Yeah, you just kind of have to go for it. Just know your worth. Think, how much time will it take me to make that content? And how much is all my equipment cost? Like if you've gone and bought a new camera, you've done a course on, you know, cinematic videography, and you produce this incredible content, you don't really want to just be giving it to them for free, because at the end of the day, the brand is going to make a lot of money off of your content, and then you're going to be left with nothing. So it's kind of looking at that and thinking of your value. It's great to do, I mean, we still do the odd gifted thing, and like it's great to do that in the beginning and build up your portfolio, but eventually you kind of, if you're trying to build something and you want to start actually making a bit of money, then you just have to go for it, try it, see what happens, negotiate.
Yeah, our tip, as I would say, is when we first got our first paid brand deal, it was for a YouTube video, and the reason that we got it paid was we basically learned to say no.
Yeah.
We were kind of busy at that time. We didn't really want this free item. We said, oh no, sorry, we're too busy. Or we sent an email back actually just with some kind of figure, hoping that they would either take the figure or it would put them off. They ended up accepting the figure.
Yeah.
So that's it. You just need to actually put your cards on the table and trust your own value, the value that you can provide. And if they say no, they say no. You don't need to waste your time doing that thing. But if they say yes, then you're up and running and you know how much to charge. So it's just kind of trusting your gut. And if you're happy to do it for free, then you know, do it for free. If not, start saying no to it.
Yeah, it's all about how much you actually want to, like, how passionate you are about actually
doing that thing. Yeah. And then developing products was the last step for us, and it's the step that we've kind of moved on to with our thing. We've realized that we have such a big audience now, and we can provide so much value to that audience. Unfortunately, we do have bills to pay, so that's why we like to develop our own products and, you know, help pay those bills. It helps fund our travels, helps keeps us on the road, and helps us provide more and more value to our audience. But when is it time to actually develop that product? Well, for example, our publishing company that we started
was a complete accident.
Yeah,
really.
But it was a kind of eye-opener about what actually you need to start a publishing company and any other kind of product. It's just you need an engaged audience of people that are wanting to actually hear you and think that you know what you're talking about. You don't need to all the time, you can sometimes wing it, but it's good to actually do these products on things that you are authoritative on, that you have a lot of experience on, and more important, that you are passionate about. It's good to have an engaged audience that is actually in a defined niche. Again, it's all well and good, like Joe Swash, you know, he's a TV personality, everyone loves him, everyone follows him, millions of followers, but you wouldn't really think that he's got any kind of like expertise in one specific area. You know, if he brought out a book on the North Coast 500, for example, it's not as if you would have a lot of trust about that he knows what he's talking about. So it's important that you actually define yourself into a niche, and then you can develop that trust and that authority on that niche. And then in experience in marketing, like everything on social media is marketing. It's that phrase, if you're not paying to use a service, then you are the product. And that's exactly what social media is. It's a way of connecting with new people, and it's a way about selling these products to people. And it's not just in exchange for money. YouTube, for example, is in exchange for time. We're selling a product as our video, and in exchange for that, people are giving us their time and actually watching that thing. And it's having that kind of frame of mind of how can I get more people interested in it, and how can I provide value to these people. And so yeah, that's our products there. I guess I was trying to remember what the next slide was. But this is our products here. This is what we've ended up doing, and it's because of our experience and our authority on Scotland and van life travel and across to Ireland as well.
Yeah.
We've been able to develop these products and have proved very successful for us because people trust us to know what we're talking about when it comes to these types of things. And we are going to be selling them over there if you are still interested in getting anything to do with your North Coast 500 journey. We were doing talks yesterday and the day before on Scotland and Ireland, and yeah, we really enjoyed them. But that's all for today. We are going to be doing a competition this weekend where you'll be able to win a one-to-one consultation with us. You can pick our brains about anything you want, be it Scotland travel or even just building your own brand, asking for advice about Instagram if you're starting up your own business, asking us about how to grow on YouTube. We're open to anything. If you want to pick our brains for an hour, all you need to do is you can buy a product from our shop. It's just over there, and then you can actually be entered into that prize draw. And we've also got a QR code there if you didn't think that what we were talking about today was interesting, and if you are trying to start up your own brand or trying to grow online, we're going to be releasing a course on this topic very soon. You can scan the QR code there and join the waiting list so you're the first one through the door, because I think we're going to be doing a limited number as we trial it. So if you want to be first in the door and you don't want to miss out on that, then scan the QR code there and we'll send you an email straight to your box with a discount when we actually get that course live.